Hi, this is Sunny Solanki and you are tuned to CoderzColumn. In today's video, I will explain how to build a web app to create candlestick chart with technical indicators. This app with technical indicator can help us perform technical analysis of stock price movement. The app will have various widgets for functionalities like date range selection, trading volume display, technical indicators, etc. We will try to display various indicators like exponential moving average, simple moving average, weighted moving average, momentum, relative strength index, and so on. For creating this app, we'll be using a Python dashboarding library Streamlit. Streamlit is nowadays most preferred library to create web apps using Python. It's easy to code web app using Streamlit, and the web app looks good as well. Now Streamlit also, apart from that, Streamlit let us include charts from other Python data visualization libraries like Bokeh, Matplotlib, Altair, and so on. Alright, so that was a small introduction. Now first of all, let me show you how the app that we are going to create will look like. So as you can see on my screen, I already have an image open of the web app that we are going to create. So the web app will have one candlestick chart, as you can see. And then on the left side we have a sidebar where we can select the start and end dates to select the date range. Then we have two checkboxes to select close prices and volume. So if you want to include line to show close prices, then you can select this checkbox. And in order to show volume, which is this below chart, you need to select this checkbox. Below that we have a technical indicators. So this is a multi-select from where you can select multiple indicators, and those technical indicators will be displayed in the chart. Alright, so this is the simple web app that we will try to create. So without further ado, let's get started with the coding part. Alright, so here we are on my screen where I have IDE open. So I will be using a Visual Studio Code editor for coding our app. And I have already created a Python file named candlestick app.py, and I have created this Python file in this folder candlestick app technical indicators. So I already have some amount of code present over here. So I have by default included code to load the data set and the code to create the chart. Alright, so first of all, so we'll be using this two function in our dashboard to load the data and create chart. So first of all, let me explain you the code that is already there, and then we will code our dashboard using these functions. So first of all, I have imported Streamlit and few other libraries. So Bokeh is for plotting, and I have also imported this library TALib. So this library will be used to create various technical indicators based on the close price data that we provide to it. So first of all, I have called a set page config function on Streamlit. So this function let us set layout and few other things. So I have set layout to wide. By default, the layout is centered, so it will add a white space at the beginning, like on the left side and right side it will add some white space, but I wanted to use the full width of any container, so full width of the desktop or monitor. So that's why I have set layout to wide. The next is I have defined a function named load dataset. Now what this function does is that it loads our dataset. So for our purpose, I will be using an Apple OHLC dataset which I have downloaded from Yahoo Finance. So you can also download the Yahoo dataset of your choice from Yahoo Finance. And this dataset has OHLC data for year 2022. So from January to December, the data is present over there. Then I have converted the date column to date time format. And then I have created two more columns. So the bar color column has color data. So based on the open and close price, if the close price is greater than open price, then we color the bar with green. So this is for candlestick chart, candle of candlestick chart. And so this column will have strings red and green based on whether the close price is greater than open or less than open. And then I have also created date string, so this will have our date data as a string, nothing else. And then in the next few lines I have calculated a few indicators and included it in our data set. So I have included a simple moving average, exponential moving average, weighted moving average, relative strength index, momentum, and two other exponential moving average, double and triple, I guess. And for this I have provided close prices from our dataset, Apple DF dataset. And I also set time period to 3 by default, but you can later on extend this app and include one more widget where you let user provide a time period as well. So what this function does, that it returns this Apple DF which have total data, OHLC data, and the data about these indicators as well. So we'll be using this data frame for creating our charts. Now, as you can see, I have decorated this function with st.cachedata decorator. The reason behind this is that how Streamlit works is when you change any widget state or when you change the code of a Streamlit, it runs the whole script from top again. So if I am running this function every time, then it can take time to load. In my case, it runs fast. But if you have many indicators and if this function takes time like 1-2 seconds, then it can add a little bit of overhead in loading the app. So that's the reason you should use this cache data. So it will cache the output of this function, so it don't need to run it again, right? So that's the load dataset function. So I have loaded our dataset Apple DF over here. Then I have a small dictionary. So this dictionary is simply mapping from indicators to color. So I have mapped various indicator to color. So this color will be the line color of that indicator in our chart. All right. So next is, this is the most important function. So create chart function accepts the data frame and few other parameters, and it will create the candlestick chart and return it. So first of all, this function creates a candlestick chart. As you can see, the code over here creates a candlestick chart. So first of all, I am creating a figure object over here, and then this to call to segment. So the first call to segment over here creates a black line, which is a line between low and high values. And then there is a line which will create candles for our candlestick chart. And for a line color, I have used the bar color column that we created. So based on that red and green color, the color of the bars candles will be taken. And over here, as you can see, I have set line width based on if else condition. So if there are too many candles, so like more than 100 days data is present over there, then I will keep the line width to little less, whereas the line width is 6 if there are less candles, so less than 100 days, right? Then over here I have a if condition. So if that checkbox close line is selected, then we will include close line in our candlestick chart. So as you can see, and then next is we'll loop through all the indicators. So as you can see, we have indicator list of indicators. So over here the list of indicators name will be provided, and we look through all indicators, and then we simply call line method on candle figure to create a line for each indicator. So you can see, and color we are taking for indicator colors dictionary which we created. And data about all the indicator is already present in our data frame which we loaded Apple DF. And the next is volume bars. So if you have selected that checkbox include volume, so it will be coming over here as true. And then we will create another figure object which will be for volume, to display trading volume. So for that also we have used a segment method, and as you can see, this will create a volume bar chart, right? So then this function returns so if volume is selected, then this function merges candlestick chart and volume. base using the column function of bouquet. Otherwise, it returns the candlestick chart as it is. All right. So next is I have list. So I am maintaining list of indicators that I am going to provide in this tutorial. So these are the list of indicators which we will be providing. All right. So let's get started with the coding part of our dashboard. So first of all, I will include a simple title at the beginning. So for that, I will use the title function which is available from Streamlit. And I will say Candlestick pattern technical analysis. Now you can include various emojis, and you need to write this colon 2 times, and inside of that you can include a word which is used to represent that emoji. So I will include 2 emojis, tea and coffee, which I commonly use in most of my web apps. Apart from this, if you want to color some part of your string, then you can do that as well. You need to surround that in the bracket, and then you need to write colon and the color name. So this will what this will do, this will color this word candle with green color. Same we can do with stick. So I will color it with red. So currently you can color words this way, words or some string, any part of the text. But currently only 4 or 5 colors are available, which are green, red, blue, yellow and violet. I think only those colors are available. All right, so now we have our title ready of our dashboard. So first of all, what I will do is that first of all, let's create a candlestick chart with default values. So I can call this function create chart, and I will give it AppleDF, our AppleDF dataset which we loaded, and this will return a figure object. For all other parameters, there are default values. So by default, close line won't be included. There won't be volume details, and there won't be any indicators. This will simply create a candlestick chart for the whole dataset, which is Apple dataset for the year 2022. Now that we have created this figure object, we can include it in our dashboard using st.bokehChart function. So this function accepts bokeh figure which we created above, and I will provide this one more parameter to this function, use container width, and I will set it to true. So what this will do, it will expand the width of the figure based on the width of the container. Alright, so we are done with the initial app. Though we don't have any widget, but we at least we have a chart. So let's test this part of the code. Let me run it. So as you can see below, I already have a terminal open below, and I am already in this directory YouTube tutorials candlestick app technical indicators, where I have kept this candlestick app.py file. Now in order to run the dashboard or our web app, I need to execute this command streamlit run and then the name of the file, which is candlestick app.py. Once I hit this command, it will start the server and then we'll open a new tab in the browser where our app will be running. So let me execute it. Alright, so it says started a server, and now the new tab is open in the browser where our app will be running. Alright, so as you can see, we have a header over here, and then we have our chart ready, initial chart, which is for the whole year 2022. Alright, so this looks good. Now let's go ahead and first of all date range selection. So first of all, below figure, so in the sidebar I will be adding 2 date range selection widgets. So in order to do that, first of all I will say st.sidebar. So in order to do that in sidebar, and in sidebar I need to divide that space into that horizontal space into two columns. So for that I will use columns function and I will give it a value 2. So it will return with two column objects, call1 and call2. Now in the call1 I will include the start date selector, and in the call2 I will include the end date selector. So I can use this call1 and call2 function as a context manager. So that's what I will do. So that's call1, and now I can call function name as t.edit input. So what this function does is that it will display a date input widget. And what I will do over here is that first of all I will give labels, which I will say start date, and by default value I will set to, so I will use date time 2022 1/1 will be the by default date, right? So this will be the start date. Same way I will create end date, and that will be kept in call2. And for end date I will select 12, value will be 12 and 31, and I need to call it end date. And let me also add a title above this, a header. So for that I will use a markdown function. The markdown function let us include a markdown text. So if you don't know what markdown is, it's the language to create a formatted text. If you have a background with Jupyter Notebook, then you might be already aware that what is markdown. So I will include a h4 header. So say date range selection, and below this header, so this is the HTML h4 header, which will say date range selection, and below that I will have two widgets which say start and end date. Right, so now we have a start and end date available in this function, in this variable start date and end date. Now what I will do using this start and end date, I will subset or filter our original data set based on the value selected from these variables. So whatever value you select from the input widget will be available through this variable. So in order to do that, first of all I will call our apple df for data frame. I will say set index, and I will say date column as index, and then I will use the lock attribute, and I will say string of start date colon to string of end date. And what this will do, I will save it to subdf. So this is a subdf of our original df. What this will do, it will set the index, date as index, so that we can use this lock function to filter our data, filter our original data frame based on start and end date, the range selected. Once we are done with this, I will again modify this subdf. So I will say subdf dot reset index. So the date is again of the index, this date column. So now this subdf is has almost same structure, same columns as our apple df, but see, it's a subset of the original data frame based on the date range selected. So now that we have this subdf, we will give this data frame to the figure object, right? And then this figure object will be displayed. Right, so we are almost done with the date range selection coding part. So let's go ahead and test it. So let me run it. Right, so now that we have a date range over here, let me try a few date range. So instead of January, let's go to April 1st. All right, and as you can see, the chart updated over here. Let me select over here August 12. Yeah, as you can see, the chart is updated again. Okay, so let's try a few more values. Yeah, so this looks good. So now that we are done with the date range selection, and as you can see, date range is appearing over here. So that's a minor mistake from my side. I need to move it over there. In order to do that, I need to write sidebar over here. so that it gets displayed in sidebar. So let me rerun the code, and yeah, now as you can see, date range selection is over here. Next, let's go ahead and include the two checkbox to display volume and close line, the close price line. So for that, over here I will display st.checkbox. So that's the function to create a checkbox, and label will be close price line, and I will save the result in a variable named close line. In same way, I will create another checkbox for include trading volume, and let me save it to volume variable. So output of checkbox is boolean value, so it will be either true or false. If the checkbox is selected, then it will be true, else it will be false. So we'll be giving these two values to call to this function create chat. So let me take you back to create chat. As you can see, by default close line is false, so the second parameter to this chart is close line, and third is include volume. So that's what we will give. Over here we'll say close line and volume. So based on the checkbox selected, it will include a close line and volume, right? So let's check this part of the code as well. So let me rerun this, and as you can see, both the checkbox are appearing over here, so I need to include them in sidebar. So let me modify the code over here. Sidebar, okay, so now that we have moved both the checkboxes in sidebar, let me rerun it. And yeah, now as you can see, both are there in the sidebar. So let me select this close price line. And yeah, as I selected, as you can see, the line is shown over here, black line, and this is for close price. And let me include trading volume as well. Yeah, so as I clicked on trading volume, over here you will be able to see the trading volume for each day. And I have colored the trading volume as well based on the color of the bars. So you can also color it with any other color, blue or any other color, and the choice is up to you, right? So now that we are done with our initial dashboard or app, now the only thing remaining is to include various technical indicators. So let's me go ahead and include that. Now in order to include indicators, we'll be using a multi-select. So there is a function named multi-select which let us select multiple values. And first is the label. So label, I will say technical indicators. And then there is options parameter, which I will set to this list, which I am maintaining over here. So these are the list of indicators that we have calculated and present in our data frame. And these are the indicators that we can display in our chart. So the output of this will be stored in the variable name indicators. So this indicators variable will have list of strings. So whatever strings you have selected options from that multi-select, MA, EMA, and so on, that will be present over here. And we can simply pass this to this function create chart. So if you go, let me take you again back. The indicators is empty by default, but if some indicators are selected, then we'll be giving through this argument. So the last argument is indicators. Alright, so now we have indicators as well in our dashboard. So let's go ahead and test this part of the code as well. And we are almost done with our dash. So I will rerun, and again I included indicators multi-select over here, and I need to include it in sidebar. So let me make that change, dot sidebar, right? So let's rerun, and let me change the date range. Okay, do trading volume. Okay, and over here as you can see various options, moving average, exponential moving average. So let's select few. Yeah, so now moving average is over here as you can see. Let's select EMA, SMA, double exponential moving average, and let me remove some of them. And yeah, as you can see, we are done with our dashboard. So this is a very basic dashboard or app as you can see. And yeah, so from our editor, as you can see, with 80 to 82 lines of code, we are able to create this web app of candlestick chart with technical indicators. So the 82 lines of code is not that many lines of code. And as you can see, we can create such a good looking app with this just 80 lines of code. Alright, so this was the basic app that I introduced. Now you can further enhance this app, so you can include more indicators. Then I had set the time period of the indicators to 3 days, but you can extend it and add one more widget over here that lets user select what time period that they want to see. And yeah, you can go ahead and do many other enhancements to this app. So yeah, that's it for today's video. In today's video, I explained how you can create a simple web app to create a candlestick chart with technical indicators, which can be used to perform technical analysis of stock price movement. If you liked our video and you feel that you learned something new today, then give it a thumbs up. If you have any doubts or any questions, then let me know in the comment section. And do subscribe to our channel if you're looking for more tutorials on topics like Python, machine learning, artificial intelligence, data science, and so on. Yeah, see you next time.